On this first appearance, we want to thank His Excellency the President of the Republic of Liberia for reposing confidence in me and my team to stir the affairs of a sector that he knows better than any other person in this country. As we all know, His Excellency was one time Minister of Agriculture, and not just Minister of Agriculture. Before going to that position, he had worked through the sector from production, value addition, to policy making. So we are honored to be standing here today to represent a sector that he better understands than we do. Let me also thank the Minister again and the MICAT family for creating a platform on which we stand to let the public know what we are doing in our respective sector. As we begin this briefing on this first appearance, we will first of all want to take the Liberian people and the listening audience to what we plan to do in the sector, what we are doing now, and some of the challenges that we experience that may hinder our progress if they are not addressed. We want to begin by telling the audience the National Agriculture Development Agenda that the current leadership of the Ministry of Agriculture is working on and intends to launch by the 15th of May this year. When that plan is launched, it will not only direct investment of the government, but also provide guidance for our development partners who support agricultural development in Liberia. As we all know, agriculture has become a critical aspect of the President's arrest agenda. If you look at arrest, agriculture comes first, rule of law, roads, education, sanitation, and tourism. Being the first in the agenda, we feel agriculture should be given priority because of its significance, not just to allow us to attain self-sufficiency in our own food production, but also because of its potential to generate wealth for the ordinary people and the economy in general. So today, on our National Development Plan, we have thought to focus on key areas that will sustain the growth of this economy, make Liberians self-sufficient in producing what they eat, in doing what they do to generate income, and in ensuring nutrition security of this country. So we have 5 categories of areas. On the plan, we are going to be focusing on food crops. And for food crops, we mean those commodities that we produce from the farms, go through processing, and go to the table for our eating or consumption. And this plan is going to be adopting what we call the value chain approach to agricultural development. By value chain approach, we mean we are going to be attacking or targeting agricultural development, beginning with production, aggregation, processing, marketing, and consumption. Along the production end will be the farmers. We want to be able to say, well, you are a farmer, you are producing. When you produce, you should have some group of people who purchase what you have produced, take it to a processing plant, and that processing plant will be able to process it, and those who are involved with marketing will purchase the processed commodity, take it to the market, and for us, the consumers, go to the market and buy what we need for our households. So that value chain approach will be used in all of our development strategy. For food crops, we have prioritized 4 specific areas or subsectors. The first of those subsectors is rice. We all know how significant rice is. And those of you who listen to the President's interview with the BBC, he said at the end of his 6-year of stewardship of this country should be 70% self-sufficient in rice and 30% dependent on importation. It is a challenge to us as Minister of Agriculture and my team to ensure that the vision of the President is going to drive us to what the President wants to see in this country. Those involved in rice production, like I said, it's going to be a value chain approach. We want to make sure that these 50,000 hectares are formed within the cluster. And we are going to be organizing production units that will support cultivation along these clusters. Each of the production units will be associated with a processing plant and other service centers that will provide them mechanization services. We have said at the Ministry of Agriculture, we've told our development partners that we are no more going to be giving our farmers cutlasses and hoe and tell them to go and produce. What we're going to be doing on our plan will be organizing our producers in the smaller units, putting them in the production units, and developing the infrastructure that support production of the commodities that we are targeting here on our plan. So, besides rice, which is our critical commodity for consumption, we also want to be able to increase the income level of farmers and smallholder producers in the rural community through cassava production. Cassava is one of the key commodities that's making income right now in the rest of the world. There is huge demand for cassava and finished cassava products. So what we want to be doing over the next 5 to 6 years will be to develop 20,000 hectares of land for cassava production. When we mean developing, we want to make sure that we organize production units, place them, for example, 100 acres of land, mechanize it, and put production units of smallholders there to produce in the form of a cooperative. Not smallholders scattered around. We want to organize the production units and place them on a piece of land that we invest in as a government along with our development partners. So over the next 6 years, we should be able to, with the right financing, develop 20,000 hectares, and those in production will produce the fresh cassava root. We will have aggregators buying the root from them, taking it to a processing plant that we think will be able to transform the cassava roots to starch and export it for income generation. By the matter of fact, we have tried to begin some engagement with partners and some private sector actors who will come to support the cassava sector by establishing plants that will process the cassava into starch for exportation. Besides maize, besides cassava, we also want to develop the maize subsector. Corn, we know, is very critical. Corn is important for the poultry industry. We all here eat eggs. We all here eat chicken feet or chicken meat. We do eat those. They are produced all from chicken. But to raise chicken, which is our poultry industry, requires feed. And the major ingredient in the chicken feed is maize or corn. In Liberia, to be a poultry farmer is very costly because we do not produce the ingredient that goes into the manufacture or processing of the feed that is required for our poultry industry. So we want to be able to also have 20,000 hectares of land cultivated by smallholder organized in the production units to grow corn. And that corn will be purchased from them, taken to a factory where it will be transformed into animal feed so that those who will get involved with poultry production can have access to low-cost feed to sustain the industry. Besides maize, cassava, and rice, we want to also invest in the development of infrastructure that supports vegetable production. If you walk in our streets sometimes, if you saw a tomato, or you went to the supermarket and saw tomato, it might be telling you that it was imported. If you went, especially during these days, you see watermelon, they might be coming from Guinea or somewhere else. So we have spoken with our development partners, and we ourselves as a government have committed ourselves to ensuring that we create the infrastructure or support the development of infrastructure that will support dry-year production of vegetables so that you can have access to it. So that in your diet, you can diversify. That you will not just depend on rice. We must have a balanced diet in our drive to ensure dietary diversity. So besides the food crop, we also want to be able to develop some tree crops. We're looking at 4 tree crops that we want to develop. We want to look at cocoa. Cocoa is one of the economically significant crops in the agriculture economy. The price of cocoa right now on the world market is high. I know Liberia used to be one of the exporters of cocoa. We still do today, but the volume that we export is low. So we want to be able to honor our project or our plan to develop additional 10,000 hectares of new farm through our support to smallholder farmers to increase our production of high-value cocoa to be exported to the rest of the world. Besides cocoa, we also want to be able to support the production of coffee. You may not know, but Liberia was one of the first, or the countries that had one of the elite varieties of coffee. We call that coffee Liberica. Liberia grew coffee Liberica and exported it. But we've lost that. It is still here, but it's almost getting indigenous. So all we want to do is to reactivate the coffee industry by supporting farmers to grow coffee on 15,000 hectares of land. Each of those hectares will be associated with a smallholder farmer. So if we were to develop, say, 50,000 hectares, we want to be able to use that as a means of creating jobs for our people. So by developing 15,000 hectares, we're going to be creating income generating opportunities for 15,000 households who will produce and market for income generation annually. Besides coffee, we also want to support the production of cashew nut. What we call pusa, right? Is a delicious fruit. It's economically very essential in the world economy. In fact, today, I've gone to supermarkets in Liberia and seen cashew nuts produced here in Liberia and packaged here. Very delicious. We want to be able to support people like those to expand production and even bring on board new individuals who will be interested in establishing cashew plantations for income generation. We've also targeted doing coconuts. Coconut is a very critical commodity. Maybe some of us feel just by eating it, that's the only benefit we get from it. But coconut is a diverse crop that can produce different commodities or different products out of the coconut itself. So what we are trying to do on our plan would be to look at our coastal counties where coconut has a comparative advantage. We want to be able to develop a minimum of 12,000 hectares in the southeastern counties of Riverside, Grand Cruz, Sando, and Maryland counties, where coconut is indigenous. We want to be able to support that. Besides our tree crops, we want to also do some food crops. Crops like avocados or the water pear. They were amazed to know that some of the water pears we have here come from Guinea. Some of them come from Sierra Leone. But we have the same soil. So we want to be able to support our farmers to be able to develop 5,000 hectares of plantation for water pear or avocado. We also want to be able, over the next 5 years, to do some citrus crops, oranges or tangerine. We want to be able to have our farmers invest into plantations of oranges or tangerine or grapefruit just for the market. Besides that, papaya or pawpaw. Pawpaw is very significant. You know, the doctor told me if you have the pawpaw, you blend the pawpaw with the seed the peeling, everything is good for eyesight. I was surprised at that. But it will interest you to know that we do not have a structured market for pawpaw in this economy. Some of the pawpaw that we have come from Guinea. Some of them are imported from Cote d'Ivoire. So we want to be able to support our farmers to grow pawpaw on large scale and create the market opportunity for them to be able to generate income. Besides the crops, we want to look at also livestock. Liberia had in the past more than 70 ranches across the country. And the data tells us that in Liberia we have more than 120,000 hectares of grazed land that is suitable for livestock production. But still we depend on import of cattle for beef. Or in fact we import beef into this country. We want to be able to restock the ranches we have in this country so that they can provide for us meat for our tables. We also want to be able to encourage people to get into large-scale poultry production. I think you heard the president speak on the BBC. He said when he was Minister of Agriculture, they never imported chicken egg. I think that should be a challenge to us. We want to make sure that before the end of the 6 years, no chicken egg will be imported. And we are going to do that. Personally, I don't like chicken feet. When I see people importing chicken feet, it tells me, I just have my own view about it. I just don't buy it. Because I feel that the chicken feet should be used and bred for something else. But it is a critical commodity for us, consumption commodity. Because we do not have the bread and meat that we need for our tables. Some people go for chicken feet because it's cheaper. But over the next 5 years, we want to be able to expand domestic bread production and egg so that we can put some cap on the importation of these commodities that have taken over our markets. Ruminants, goats, sheep, and pig. During Ramadan like these, you know, most of our Muslim brothers and sisters, you see, they will be having sheep in the truck, crossing the borders here because we do not have the market, or we do not have large-scale production. So what we'll be doing on our leadership at the Ministry of Agriculture and within the framework of our National Agricultural Plan will be to support counties like Grand Cape, where we generally, the residents are Muslims, to be able to expand production of sheep so that they don't have to go and maybe import it from Guinea or bring it from Guinea for their Ramadan services or processes. Or even to create a market for mutton. Other countries you see, you got roasted, or mutton is the sheep meat, you got it on the market, they are selling it. And it's delicious. So we want to be able to support our farmers to get into the production of sheep, goats, and piggery to support our domestic consumption demand. And the fifth item on our plan will be supporting the fishery sector. I know we have vast coastline for offshore fishery, but we also have a decent area for inland fishery. So we want to be able to work with the National Fishery Authority and Aquaculture Authority, which we are chairing the board of, to expand inland fishery so that our women in the rural areas can have the fish pond around their home to fish for their families and also for the market. So these are actions we will take, but there are others we want to do also. We want to be able to strengthen the capacity of the Ministry of Agriculture, the Central Agricultural Research Institute that is responsible for agricultural research to support the plan. All we are planning to do will require human resource capacity. It's strengthening for one. We need all of the crop scientists. We need all of the specialists in animal science. We need all of the specialists in monitoring evaluation. We need a specialist that will be involved with maybe data collection, statisticians. We need all those specialists. We need veterinary medical practitioners. In fact, let me just take this time to honor the late Anderson. Joseph Anderson was the only vet we had in this company, in fact, the most trained one. But we lost him just last month. So we need to build more capacity to replace people like those. When we build the capacity of the Ministry of Agriculture and the Central Research Institute and other institutions that are involved with agriculture, education, or research, you have a vibrant agriculture sector. All of the plans we have for developing our crop sector, we want to be able to achieve them through mechanization. The use of mechanization or machinery in our production system. The president has always said, if you want to have the young people interested in agriculture, you cannot be dependent on cutlasses or hoe because the labor is just so difficult. But if you are able to get the small farm tools, farm equipment, some machinery, power tiller, or handheld equipment that are easy to be used, that are convenient to be used, you will have more young birds, young boys getting to farming. So mechanization is going to be one of our key impetus to drive in the agriculture sector. That's why we are saying, when we organize a production unit that will be involved with cassava production, we want to be able to empower that unit by, first of all, helping with the preparation, using machinery power, with the preparation of the land on which they will be producing. And we've asked our development partner to do the same. We also want to be able to standardize our agriculture commodity market. You see, if you went to the books around where we say our agricultural commodities, what you will see will be, personal experience. I went to the booth around the Catholic Junction where they sell watermelon and other fruits. The lady took a bottle of watermelon, she lifted it and hit it. She said, oh, this for $10. Then she took another one, she lifted it and she said, this is $1,000. So I said, but what is the business for setting a price? Well, she said, but this one heavy, this one is good. And I would just laugh about it. But you see, it is a major challenge. You go to the market, you see the pepper is on par, $7 a pound. But we think if we are able to standardize our marketing system, where the lady in the booth then will have a skill that will weigh the watermelon and say, okay, this is 10 pounds. And 1 pound of watermelon should be $100 Liberian dollars. And you got 10 pounds, you know that's 1,000 Liberian dollars. If that lady is able to say harvest 1 metric ton of watermelon, you know that's 1,000 kilograms. And if she knows that 1 kilogram of watermelon sells for $200, she's able to predict her income depending on her harvest or what she got from the market. So we want to be able to train our farmers, not farmers, but our traders in the sector to use skills to measure what they sell. We also want to be able to develop a strategy that will enable each of our counties to be specialized in what they do. We look at it on comparative advantage. And on that basis, that's what we thought the southeastern county would be for blue coconut. Because if you went to the River Cess, you went to Branco, along the beach side, you see a lot of coconut plantation already. That means the soil is good for that. Because of that comparative advantage, we should be able to associate counties with what they can do better. So we want to be developing a clear strategy on county level or regional agricultural development. We also want to be able to empower our agro business entrepreneurs to expand their businesses. But we want to do that by increasing their access to finance. We can enhance that by establishing a specialized lending institution. That is why on our plan, we want to be able to establish what we call the Agricultural Enterprise Development Bank. That bank will be responsible for lending to those actors that are involved in developing the different value chains in the agriculture sector. If that bank, once that bank is established, the issue of accessing finance for expansion or for involvement in agriculture will be resolved. In fact, right now we are encouraging our farmers, not our farmers, but our students who are into agriculture, to be able to get better skills so that when you graduate from agriculture college, you just come and say, well, you have an innovative idea, you can apply for grant or for loan through this bank to establish your own enterprise. We want to be able to do that. So, value addition in our rubber industry is key on our agenda too. You know, Liberia has been one of the, in fact, Liberia was the first large plantation of rubber in Africa. And very part of the history of rubber production, Liberia came number 2 in terms of farm size. But Liberia has not been able to process or to sell any finished product made from rubber. We think we should make efforts now to be able to get those actors that are in the rubber industry to pay attention to value addition. So we will be driving that through the National Agricultural Development Plan. So those are plans that we have for the sector. So what have we done since we became minister, or we took over my team and myself at the Ministry of Agriculture? We took over the ministry with some challenges, and we'll talk about it. But in the first 30 days of our stewardship, we were able to take a few actions. The first is we launched the University of Liberia Farm on the Fender campus so that the students who are involved in agriculture or studying agriculture can have a place to go and practice their profession, so that when they leave the walls of the university, they are prepared to become master farmers. That they could go to a bank and present a plan based on their experience and the practical knowledge acquired from the farm. That farm, we also want to use it as a model for what we intend to see in the larger agriculture economy. So we'll be supporting them. Me and the team will be supporting them to ensure that our farm becomes vibrant. Because agriculture is not just production. From production, value addition, marketing before it gets to us. And there are other activities around. So we want to be able to have everything that is associated with agriculture first exemplified at the University of Liberia, and then we can move on there. The next thing we've done also have been to relaunch cooperative production program, beginning with the former multi-purpose cooperative in Bombay. 2 Saturdays ago, we went there and launched a project that will be supporting our cooperative that currently has a membership of about 800 people, of smallholder farmers, to develop 1,000 hectares. That's the first investment we want to do there, to support them develop 1,000 hectares of lowland for rice production. They have a capacity of 2,800 hectares. We will be developing that, but we have initiated work on developing the first 1,000 hectares. Besides the rice, we've also initiated developing 100 acres or 100 hectares for corn production, maize. 100 hectares will be 250 acres. Besides the former cooperative, we also have gone to Neutah. Neutah, in the Polahun district, there is a place called Fangoda. Fangoda has vast lowland area. So my team has gone there and identified 200 hectares of lowland that we intend to support smallholder producers through the cooperative developed for 200 members of the cooperative that are operating around there. So we should be doing that. In the cassava value chain, we've also identified 320 hectares to be developed in 4 counties: Bong, Grand Cape Mount, Margibi, and Mosolano counties. These 320 hectares will be associated with 320 smallholder farmers operating in a group as cooperative, but each of them owning a hectare on our production site. We've also been able to complete the mapping of lowlands in Nema County. As we all may be aware, Bong, Lofa, Nema are the food basket counties, and we intend to ensure that we regain our status and make us self-sufficient in our food production. So we've identified a couple of lowlands in Nema County that will be supporting through the government-owned investment and investment through support from our development partners. And today, we want to be launching through this forum what we call the Para-Urban Agriculture Development Program. And that program will be piloted in 3 cities: Monrovia and its environment, Kakada City, Banga City, and Ganta City. The intent of the Para-Urban Agriculture Program is to help our city residents develop the wetlands they have at their backyards. By a matter of fact, this is part of the sanitation agenda on the arrest. We want to make sure that the wetlands we have around your backyard can be used to produce our rice during the wet season, and you grow vegetables during the dry season, so that we will not see bushes behind our backyard. So, those of you who will be listening to us, the Ministry of Agriculture by next week will be releasing a hotline that you will use if you are in this county to contact the requisite people at the Ministry of Agriculture to register you and survey what you have, just to take and measure what you have, and we'll see how best we can provide some support for you to develop your backyard, to grow crops that you can use in your own home for consumption. If you produce more, you sell some. We'll do rice, we'll do vegetables. We've also been able to take some administrative actions at the ministry. By the matter of fact, my Deputy Minister for Technical Services is here. He advised me that we suspend the issuance of certificates for phytosanitary purposes and import and export. We are doing that briefly because through the review process, we realized that there are people carrying the stamp in their pockets and stamping for other people, for vendors, for merchants, without duly getting to the ministry. And some of these people, interestingly, may be our own people. So we are working on changing the stamp. And by his suggestion, every import permit, every sanitary certificate will be stamped through the office of the minister. The department will do the revision and send it to the minister's office for validation and stamping. So, based on the suggestion from the department. Also, as we all know, agricultural commodities or equipment have duty-free privileges in Liberia. But we have suspended that because the first duty rate of the executive order that created that, Executive Order 115, expired on January 19 of this year. So the Liberia Revenue Authority and the Ministry of Agriculture have put together a technical team to review the processes associated with the granting of duty-free privileges so that we know what is happening to enable us to make the appropriate suggestion to His Excellency the President for the renewal of the executive order. So all those our partners, all those other actors who are bringing in agriculture, equipment and other things, we have to clear it and then all wait for us when the executive order is renewed, then we can sign off on that, because we are currently reviewing the processes that are associated with the executive order to make the appropriate recommendations. Now we have said all of these big things. How can we achieve it? There are challenges currently that we face. When we got to the Ministry of Agriculture, we first thought to do an HR audit. And the truth is, the ministry is currently facing human resource deprivation. We have on the payroll, active payroll, salary receivers, 373 persons on payroll. When we did the review, the audit